It wasn't enough for Republicans to tell foreign leaders to ignore President Obama. Now they want to convince governors to ignore him, too. The New York Times reports Senator Mitch McConnell is urging states to help thwart Obama's war on coal, sending a detailed letter to every governor in the U.S., laying out a carefully researched legal argument as to why states should not comply with Mr. Obama's regulations. Since Senator McConnell doesn't like these rules, he's telling states not to follow them. And his buddy in the House? First, Speaker Boehner snubbed the president, inviting Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to address Congress behind his back. He wanted Netanyahu to argue against negotiations with Iran. Now Boehner's visiting Netanyahu on the deadline for those negotiations, traveling overseas to criticize the president. You know, it seems funny that Senator McConnell is telling states to ignore new regulations because he's always complaining, EJ, that the president isn't following the law. You know, back in September, he said the president is required to take care that the laws are faithfully executed, not, as he was admitted, make them up as he sees fit. But Senator McConnell can make up laws. What's going on here?
You're making the mistake of looking for consistency, Reverend. I mean, I think there's always been this inconsistency among conservatives on states' rights, which is they say they're all for states' rights, except when states say want to regulate on the environment harder than the federal government or regulate on consumer stuff. Then they say, no, 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 they can't do that. It's the federal government's power. But when the federal government is standing on the side of the environment or consumers, they want to tell states ignore this. So it's a consistent form of inconsistency that we've seen on a whole lot of issues from a lot of conservatives.
And that's a great point, the hypocrisy they show with states' rights. Senator McConnell can rail against EPA, cut his budget, do all that he has the power to do within the law if he must. But he cannot and should not call on others to ignore a law.